Picture a 6'5" former tight end pounding the podium, voice cracking with passion, talking about grit, pain, and biting kneecaps. That's Dan Campbell, and that's the energy he brought to Detroit. Being a Lions fan has never been easy. We've been the underdogs, the punchline, the team people root for out of pity. But now there's a fire in Detroit, and it's not just about the scoreboard. It's about the grit, the unity, and the belief. Dan Campbell brought that to Detroit. To understand how Dan transformed the Detroit Lions, we'll look at his journey from player to coach, the leadership style that defines him, the culture he's built in Detroit, and the lasting impact he's had on the team's identity. First, we'll look at his journey as a player with ProFootballArchives.com. Dan graduated from Texas A&M, where he played tight end and built a reputation for toughness and team-first mentality. In '99, he was drafted by the New York Giants as the 79th overall pick. He played for the Giants, the Cowboys, and ended his 10-year career in Detroit. Now, let's explore Dan's rise to head coach. The Miami Dolphins took Dan on in 2010. He started coaching as an intern, rose to tight ends coach, and served as an interim coach in 2015. 2016, the New Orleans Saints took him on as the assistant coach under Sean Payton, where he contributed to a Super Bowl win. And in 2021, the Detroit Lions picked him up as head coach. Now let's shift focus to how Campbell leads. Not with strategy, but with heart. The Lions were at a low morale in 2021. They had just come off 3 losing seasons under Matt Patricia. Highlighted by Sporting News, Dan Campbell's first press conference in January 2021 set the tone for a cultural overhaul in Detroit, famously declaring his team would bite a kneecap off, a metaphor that captured his gritty, unapologetic vision of the Lions. Resilience and accountability, that's the heart of Dan Campbell's Lions. This isn't a team that spirals after a loss. They reset. They refocus. Players know they're expected to bounce back, not with panic, but with purpose. And that mindset starts at the top. Campbell just doesn't preach toughness. He lives it. You see it in those post-game locker room speeches when his voice shakes and his veins pop and his eyes well up. That's not just passion. It's love. He has love for his players, love for the grind, and love for the city that refuses to quit. In those moments, he's not just a coach. He's a reflection of Detroit itself, intense, emotional, and all in. Finally, Dan Campbell's impact on the Lions and their identity is unmatched. Dan Campbell changed the mindset. His philosophy is simple. Play fast, play violent, and attack. He makes decisions other coaches wouldn't dare to. 4th and short, he's going for it. Trick plays, he's calling them. He doesn't coach scared. He coaches with belief and like he has something to prove. To show what I mean, here's a meme of Dan Campbell. I've had to edit it for parental guidance. It's bold, it's ridiculous, and it's exactly the kind of energy he brings to the field. He's fearless, and he takes chances, and his players feed off of that. My brother Jimmy has been a Detroit Lions fan for 46 years. He's lived through the heartbreak, through the rebuilds, and all the letdowns. When I asked him what he thought of Dan Campbell, he said this. Dan has taken one of the worst NFL teams and turned them into one of the best. He's instilled a tremendous amount of pride, toughness, and grit into the organization. Dan Campbell is legendary. That's not just coaching. That's transformation. That's Detroit. He gave Detroit a team that reflects its people. Dan Campbell didn't just take the job, he wanted it. As a former player, he felt a deep connection to the city. It stretches across the state. It's not just in Detroit. The pride in the locker room and the stands and the streets and the soul of the city, it's everywhere. And fans have waited for it for years, for something real. And everyone feels it. In closing, I hope you've gained insight to Dan Campbell's journey from his days as a player to his rise as head coach, his bold leadership styles, his culture, and the lasting impact he's had on the Lions and their identity. And if there's one thing to remember from this speech, it's grit, don't quit.